Welcome to the live demo of a CapChap. I will be performing the demo of a shareholder, and my colleague Mikael will be performing the demo in the role of a representative of the board who can edit the share ledger. So what you're viewing here is the login site for a person who is authorized to use the tool. I'm logging in with my personnummer. And the login takes me to the main screen of the service. Here I see my profile. My name in this demo is Orhan Arikan. And the first screen I come to is my address and my personal information. Up in the main tab, My Holdings, I can see which companies I am a shareholder in. I own share in Avaris AB and Letigo Global AB. We start with Avaris AB, and I click on that company name. The first thing I see is information about the company. I see the company name, who is the authorized person from the board to make changes to the share ledger, in this case, Noor Khosla. I see the mailing address of the company and the visiting address and some other contact information. When I switch to my view, I can see that my name and my personal identity number is described. I can also see the number of shares I own in the company. I own share block 408 to 800. That represents 400 shares or 20% of the company. I can also see to the right that the company capital is 1 million Swedish crowns and that my capital is 200 Swedish crowns, 20% of the company. So I switch back to my holdings and I go to the next company, Letigo Global. I see the same type of information for the company, the visiting address and the main address, mailing address. When I switch to my view, I see that I own share block 101 to 125, which represents 25 shares or 13% of that company. And to the right, I can see that the company capital in this case is 50,000 Swedish crowns. And now I'm going to go back to my profile page and request a change of my address because I have moved to a different address in the same town. So to make sure you know this is not a staged demo, I would like for you to give me a new address of the new street address. Do we have any streets to propose? Ebba?
Centralplan 15.
And postal code, we switch the two last digits to 21. All right. I will now submit the changes into the service. I can see here that the old address was Storgatan 8 and my new address is Centralplan 15. The postal code has changed from 45 to 21. I will now confirm this address change. I can see that I have a change in progress. When I click on that, it tells me that my change request is in progress for both company Letigo and Avaris, which is where I own share. I will now pause my work and wait for the board representative to work.
So I go to the same login screen and I enter my identity number and log into the system. And I get to the same start screen. And of course, I could also be a shareholder in the system. I also have my holdings, etc., which shows that I'm a shareholder in one company. But now I'm going to do work as a board representative. So I go to the board representative tab. So the concept of a board representative in the system is someone appointed by the board to actually manage the share ledger. So that's the individual that can maintain changes and, like now, approve requests from shareholders to do changes in the system. So I will start just describing the tools and screens shortly that are available for me as a board representative. As you see, I also, of course, can see the company profile like this. But in my case, I also have the possibility to edit this information. change company name, change contact information, etc. So I can maintain this, which all the shareholders then can see when they are logged into the system. The shareholders of this company can see this information. Of course, I can also list all the entities. Entities in the CapChap service is all persons or companies that has a role in the share register. Because there could be a company that owns the shares. In that case, it's a company. Otherwise, it's an individual. But also, as you can see here, in addition to the shareholders, we also have a record of the board members. And I can also see myself. I'm Ralph. And I can see that I'm board member, but I'm also shareholder and board representative. So that's available to be seen by all. And in addition, I have the core of the system, which is the ledger. And here I can see the different shareholders and how much shares they own and which percentage of the company. So this is the simpler overview, but of course I can also look at the share blocks of the company and the properties of these share blocks. So I see all the intervals, and I see who's the owner and share type, etc. And of course, I'm just going to show this shortly now. I can go into edit the share ledger also. And in this case, I can actually change the total shares of the company, which has been set by the board. And I can then go in and maintain the different share blocks, split them, change the owner to a new owner, etc. And when I finalized everything and think this is correct, this is the new share ledger, I can then go on to publish this so it's visible for all the shareholders. But in my case now, we are going to continue. So I can also see that under tasks, the company tasks, I have one task to handle. So there's some kind of request that I need to take care of as a board representative. And if I go in here, I see that it's an address change for Oran. And he wants to change from Storgatan 8 to Centralplan 15 and a new postal code. So in a very rare case, of course, I could reject this if I see that he has made typos or whatever. But normally I do the approve here. That will be the most of the cases. And then the reason here is the legal requirement that the responsible for the share ledger is the board. So based on that, we can't allow a person to edit their information in the share ledger themselves. It has to go through the board, and in our case, it's the board representative that represent the board and have authority to actually do changes. So that's the reason why I need to approve these changes from a legal perspective. And of course, everything that we are doing is going into the blockchain, so we don't want to put things in there that are incorrect. So I get an additional confirmation clearly showing what the old information is and what the new information will be. So from this, I can then do confirm approval. And the task is done, so it leaves the task list, and we will soon continue to see how it looks for the shareholder. But first I would like to just go into history, which is a core functionality of the system, because this is where we can find everything that has happened with the company. From the initial start, when the company was onboarded, in this case, the first board representative was added. It was someone else than me. It was Mikael Ekroth. So somewhere down the line here, we will see that the board representative is changed. So we have complete history. And we see here that new entities are added. This is when the share ledger was created from the beginning. We are getting new. So we're getting Leif Svensson added, and he's set to board member. We have Jonas Sjöblom added as entity in the system, etc. And the interesting thing here is that this is not completely ready. We haven't had the formatting on this yet, but if I look at, for example, the creation of the company, I see the before and after, and of course this is a new creation, so I only see the after that the company is created. But what I want to point out here is that I can see actually which block in the blockchain this has been placed, and I can also see how many additional blocks has been created since then. So all these 3,449 blocks has added to the security of this initial block, locking it down for further changes. So all these blocks, all these changing being done, further increase the security of the system all the time. Even if a hacker gets in there, he can't actually manipulate this because it's a chain with information that is secured. And if I go to the bottom here, end of the list in the history, I will actually find Oran requesting an address change. And I see that, which was actually that I approved the request for address change for Oran. And I see then that his address was actually changed on his entity. And again, sorry for the layout, but if I go in here, this is what will be in a nicer layout. I have the before state and the after state, what was the final solution. So actually, we have complete traceability for everything being done on the shell ledger. So with that, we swap back to Oran.
So I'm Orhan, the share owner, and I'm now at my computer working. I want to check what's going on with my address change request. So I click on my request, and I can see that for the two companies where I am a share owner that we looked at previously, Avaris AB, this change request is still in progress. But for the company Ledigo Global, where Mikael is the board representative and just performed the approval, I can see that my address change has been approved. And I'm now waiting for the Avaris board representative to do the same thing, because these are two independent companies. They need to be approved by the two different board representatives. I'm closing this, and I will go back into the tab that's called My Holdings, where I see the two companies where I own shares. If I open the first one, Avaris, and I go to My Information, I will see that my street address here is listed as Storgatan 8, which was the address before I requested the change. And I go back to My Holdings, and I go into Ledigo Global, where Mikael just performed the approval. I will see that my address has changed to Centralplan 15. So this share ledger is now updated with my most recent address change. And with that, I go back to my profile screen. I see that I have my Centralplan 15 address and a change in progress. And that confirms my work of today, and I log out of the system. And I'm back in the logon screen. And that concludes the demo.
Yep.